that you have heard somebody say, everyone's got a story? Well, in fact, we all do have a story, but we have more than one story. And we tell these stories over and over and over again, and more often than not, they're fiction. Fiction. So, you have nonfiction, which is based in fact. And you have fiction, which is a made-up story, right? Not based in fact at all. Some people take facts and then they create fiction out of them, right? They use them as their starting point. But most writers are either writing nonfiction, which is based on fact, or they're writing fiction, which is a made-up story. So the question is, the stories you're telling, are they fact or fiction? And the answer is that they're usually fiction. And let me explain why that is. So things happen in our lives, and we interpret them, and we make decisions about them. And these interpretations become our stories about what happened. And we forget what really happened, and we get really caught up in our story. And we spend a lot of our lives trying to validate those stories, to prove that they're right, that they're nonfiction, not fiction, right? So here's the thing. If you go all the way back to the facts, and you stick only with the facts like a journalist, who, what, where, when, why, and how, if you do that, you're going to discover that your interpretation might be totally different from the story you've been telling. So why is that? It's because when things happen to us, we have emotions that come up, and we have we just make decisions about what it is that happened, and then we stick with those. So let me give you an example from my own life, okay? So when I was probably in early high school, maybe my sophomore year, when you start thinking about what you're going to do with your life, I came to my mother and I said, you know what, Mom? I think I'm going to be a novelist. That's what I'm going to do. For my career, I'm going to create stories, fiction. I'm going to be a novelist. And she said to me, Nina, only really good writers can make a living as novelists. And so I interpreted that to mean there must be something wrong with my writing. I must not be a good enough writer to be a novelist and make a living as a novelist. And so I went through many, many years believing that I couldn't be a novelist and looking for proof of that, right? So my short stories that I would write would not get great grades in college, and I wrote a novel one time and was told that my nonfiction was way better, and that I should put it away and do that sometime, later, when maybe I knew how to do a better job of that. Or I had learned how to, or I got an editor or whatever. So it just validated for me that I was better off writing nonfiction, which is what I, in the end, got my magazine, I got a degree in magazine journalism. Now, if I go back to the facts, so I created my whole career story around this, right? Around this one thing my mother said, one thing. But if I go back and I dissect that, what were the facts? Did she say to me, Nina, you're not a good enough writer to be a novelist and make a career out of being a novelist? No. What she said to me was, Nina, only really good writers can make a living as novelists. This was my mother being very practical and saying, Nina, you need a career that you can rely on, that you're going to have a livelihood coming in. She didn't say don't be a writer. Matter of fact, she didn't have any problem with me going to school, to college, to become a journalist. None. She totally supported that, but she was not going to support me being a novelist because she didn't think, in her practical way of thinking about things, that was a good career choice if I wanted to have a steady paycheck. And you know what? She was right. All the stuff I had around I'm not a good enough writer was just my interpretation of what she said. It wasn't what she said, it was my interpretation of what she said. And then I made decisions based on that. So here's another example of a story from my life that was fiction. So when I was 7 years old, my dad died. And I felt as if he had left. As a matter of fact, there was a time not long before he died that he got angry at me, and so I thought maybe it was my fault and that he left and that I wasn't lovable or I wasn't good enough or, whatever it was, and he left me. And so I carried that with me for many, many years. So if I go back, and out of that, looking for proof, validating this belief, right, this decision or interpretation of what happened, to validate it, I kept looking for proof that men leave me. And guess what? Most of my boyfriends left me. And if they didn't leave me physically, then in my relationships, men have left me emotionally. They've kind of physically, emotionally abandoned me. So my abandonment issues would play out in all my relationships, sometimes even with my friends. If I go back and I excavate the facts, the only fact there is that my father had a massive heart attack and died. That's it. There's nothing else to that story. I just interpreted it to mean something about me. And then I went through my life looking for men who would think that there was a good reason to abandon me, to leave me. And that was just proof. It was validation that it was true. My story was true. And in fact, it wasn't true at all. Not when you look at the facts. So the issue is that when we live by these false stories, these fictions that we create, we do continue to look for proof that these stories are correct. We validate them. And every time we do that, we just make the story stronger, right? So if you, for instance, think that you never have enough money, you're going to be constantly looking for that. You're going to be looking for the big bill that comes in unexpectedly just when you thought you had enough money. You're going to be looking for all the times, or remembering all the times when you got into debt, right? You're going to, every time you look in your bank account, only see lack. There's not enough here, rather than what you may have saved, right? And you might go out and on buying sprees and then get your credit card bill and go, see, I never have enough money. I don't have enough money to pay my credit card bill. Rather than looking at the fact that you spent a bunch of stuff that, spent on a bunch of things that you shouldn't have maybe spent on, that maybe you need to budget. It's not so you just keep creating reasons, facts, to basically prove that your story is correct when it's really not. And that story of, I never have enough money could go all the way back to when your parents gave you and your brother allowance, and one managed to make it the 2 weeks or whatever it was with the money he had, and the other, you, always ended up with not enough money. You spent it all. So it isn't necessarily that you never have enough money. It may be just that you need to learn how to handle your money better. Anyway, I want you this week to think about this. I want you to look at your life and hear yourself talk. Listen to what you say. Listen to the stories you tell over and over again. Listen to the things you say that are just a constant repetition of a story that comes from something way in your past, and then go and excavate the facts. Go find the facts and just keep them at facts. Be a journalist. Be a nonfiction writer in your life, and look for the who, what, where, when, and how. Just the facts. And when you look at the facts, you'll see that none of your story makes any sense, other than the fact that you had emotions, you made decisions, you had interpretations, and you've gone through your life validating that. But you'll see that all of that is unnecessary. It's a bunch of stuff you can drop. And when you drop it, you have the chance to create something new, to decide something new, and to craft a new story. And that's what I'd like you to do. That's what I'd like to inspire you to do today, is to craft a new story. Craft lots of new stories that help you rather than hinder you. I'm Nina Amir. I'm the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I am a certified high performance coach, as well as an author coach and a blog coach and a book coach. And you can find out more about me at ninaamir.com. If you would like to combine your passion with your purpose and get inspired to take action that gets you the results you want, if you'd like to get from where you are to where you want to go in life or in writing or blogging, contact me. Go on over to ninaamir.com, take a look around, see what's there, and shoot me an email at nina@ninaamir.com and tell me how I can help you. And if you're interested in high performance coaching, then just click on the button, the logo on my website that says High Performance Coaching. Scroll down to the bottom and get yourself a free 1-hour strategy session with me. Apply for the 1-hour free strategy session with me, and we'll chat and we'll talk about how to get you from here to there. Okay? I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. Go out and achieve more inspired results.